Yeah, he tricked him. Too right, he tricked him. Yeah. Hikaru, nice to see you. How you doing?
Good, good. It's good to be back in Zurich.
Yeah. Okay, listen, let's have a quick look at your game. Just for those watching online, Hikaru won his first game against Yannick Pelletier. You're playing a lot of chess at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been busy playing a lot of tournaments, traveling everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen you all over the place.
The life of a chess player.
Yeah, but okay, particularly at the moment. Okay, you played in Gibraltar, then you played Sharjah.
Yep, defeated Grand Prix, then the U.S. Championship.
Then you just played the U.S. Championship, and now you're back here.
Yeah, so that's the life of a professional chess player. You tend to travel a lot, play a lot of tournaments. It's good.
Well, okay, we know that, but actually it's a particularly heavy schedule at the moment. I mean, are you building up to something, or is it, you know, what's...
I mean, I'm playing everything I can this year.
Yeah?
I think more than anything it's because there's the FIDE Grand Prix cycle, but also the Grand Chess Tour, and I'm playing in both. So that I think makes it a lot busier than usual. I mean, I would say at the moment I've played a fair amount, but it's not crazy yet. But come you know, like I think May I'm playing the FIDE Grand Prix, and then there's like Norway and Paris, and everything just comes up all together. So I mean, at the moment it's still not too much, but I mean in the next few months it's going to be a lot heavier for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting times. So let's tell you what. Do you want to just pick out a few critical moments in this game?
So like.
Okay. Well, you go ahead.
Sure. I mean, okay, the opening, it's worth pointing out that I did play this recently in the U.S. Championship against Varjan Jacobian, this sort of, you know, ready King's Indian attack, very slow stuff, and he played bishop takes f3, and I mean, I was slightly better in the game after we reached a position. I think it was something like, I don't remember which square he put it on, but something like this, and it was just, you know, small advantage for white, 2 bishops, kind of similar to today in some ways. But yeah, so Yannick played bishop h5. All this, I think bishop c5 is more standard here. Bishop e7's a little bit unusual. Nothing wrong with it, but just a little bit unusual. Yeah, so I think the first really critical position was this position after bishop c3, knight d7, f4. And here Yannick played f6, e takes f4. I thought was also quite interesting. e4, gf4, b5.
Oh, sorry, just one little question.
Sure.
Just coming back to the position where you played bishop a5 and provoked b6. Okay, could you explain that one to me?
There really isn't an explanation. The only reason that, I mean, I was trying to figure out if there was some difference when I played it between this and the game. The only thing I would say is that I saw some things like bishop c3, knight fd7, f4, and I thought maybe there might be something at some point like knight b6, something like this. That was the only reason that I played bishop a5 as opposed to bishop c3. It just I thought it made sense to take away this b6 square in case he puts a knight there or something else. That's really the only reason I played bishop a5.
So
it wasn't something really
super
deep.
Okay, thank God, because I was going, I don't know.
yeah, it wasn't. I just thought, I mean, he might have knight b6 at some point, and I thought it made some sense. But at the same time, there is potentially a drawback in that it does give black a5, possibly at several points. Whereas with the pawn on b7, you probably can't play a5 because it just hangs a pawn. So I'm not really sure whether it was good or bad, but right. So f4, f6, takes, knight e3. Yeah, this is rook d8, king h1, and this is where Yannick went wrong with knight f6. And like here, for example, after the game, he mentioned the move a5, and so like I was saying, with this pawn on b6, there are some advantages as well. And had he played a5, I think it's fairly balanced here. I probably would have played something like knight f3. Maybe now bishop c5 and probably something like rook d1, and I think white's still marginally better, but I think with correct play black should be fine still.
Certainly looks more pleasant for white with the knight on f5.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was one of the problems like in the game is that Yannick was using a lot of time and everything was so straightforward for me. I mean, I could just play almost all my moves instantly, and so because of this, he got himself into trouble both on the board and on the clock, which is never good. I think he just missed this knight h6.
Incidentally, what happens on king h8? Yeah,
if king h8, I go g4. I mean, it's the same tactic either way. If bishop g6, I just take, bishop takes e5. Black can't take because then there's knight f7 check with the fork of the queen and the king. And obviously it's the same thing. If bishop f7, I just play bishop e5 and same tactic with the bishop on f7 hanging.
Okay.
So he had to take rook f6 and knight d4, rook f2, and yeah, bishop g6. If he had played something like bishop c5 right away, I think it just runs into b4. And basically the problem long term is that for black is that at some point I'm just gonna play c3, kick the knight, and then I'll take the f5 square with my own knight. And if that ever happens, I think it's just completely lost. So bishop g6 made some sense. Queen e3, queen g7, rook f1, and I mean the problem here is now Yannick basically has to go for this endgame. Once again, if he doesn't do anything special, I'm threatening, like let's just say a random move like a5. There are some issues with things like takes and queen b3, with queen b6, knight f5 also. And it's just all very bad. So Yannick kind of had to play the way he did, trying to exchange everything. And again, bishop e1, pretty straightforward idea. I just want to kick the knight from c3. So rook f8. And now b4 is important.
Do you mind if I just go back one moment? What happens if you just play, if he just plays pawn takes?
Okay.
Do you play rook f7?
Well, there are a few things. First of all, I think rook f7 might even be good, just because the two bishops are so much better than the bishop and knight. Takes, and probably he has to go rook h8, because if bishop f6, then there's probably something with bishop f1 and bishop c4, and this is pretty ugly. But
you don't have to play rook f7, do you?
I mean, you can play rook h8,
yeah,
and even queen d2, and I mean, even this, it looks kind of shaky for black. I mean, again, two bishops, black has no real plan, and again, I'm just going to push the pawn, move the bishop, and play for c3 at some point. But this is just one idea. It's not the only one.
Yeah.
Also here, I think what I was going to do is play queen d3, with the point being queen c4, followed by rook f7, and I think...
Difficult to defend against. Yeah, rook f8, queen c4.
Yeah, rook f8, queen c4, king h8. Rook f7. No, this is just losing.
Okay,
actually.
yeah, okay. Yeah. So queen d3. Yeah, it's queen d3 must be the strongest. Okay.
Because like queen g8, just to explain, takes, rook takes d4 and queen e6, and just game over. Because e5 is hanging, and the bishop's hanging as well. So I mean, once Yannick can't take with the pawn, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's not losing, of course, because you're going to get into an end game. But I mean, rook f8, b4. Takes c3, takes h4, taking away the g5 square, and it's bad. But I think really the last critical point was around here. I shouldn't have played bishop h3. I just wasted a tempo, because after king f7, I ended up playing bishop f1, and I just gave black this free tempo.
Why can't you play bishop f5?
Yeah, this was why I played bishop h3 originally. But after bishop f5, I think black is fine after c5.
Really? B5?
b5 c4. And black just wants to go knight c5 and get a bishops of opposite color. I mean, this is actually a critical idea.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can ever put a knight on c5 and I have to take, then I mean, bishops opposite color should always be a draw.
Okay. All right. I missed.
I forgot about this, and then I played bishop f1, where I could have just played bishop f1 right away.
All right.
But
it doesn't spoil too much in it.
No, I think somewhere around here. Yeah, somewhere around here, Yannick should have played. Or actually, c5 here doesn't quite work. I mean, basically, I think at some point you need to try c5. Probably not this position, because here I can take, and he can't take with the bishop because it hangs the pawn up here.
Okay.
And if he takes with the pawn, then I think eventually after king f3, I can slowly bring the king around, kind of like in the game, to c4.
It looks lost. It looks...
Yeah, but here I think he can try c5. Yeah, this was the position where I think he could have tried c5. I mean, it's better for white, but I mean, if I ever take on c5, he just takes with the knight off.
Yeah, but b5.
Right, b5, and this is what I wasn't sure about, is if now he can play knight c7.
Okay, so bishop c4.
Yeah, king g7.
And you think you can sit?
Well, the point is I just want to get this knight to d6. Something like this, and bishop e7, and I don't know, king g4, king g4, king g6. I don't know. Maybe this is technically winning somehow, but it's not at all clear how because this knight on d6 is very strong.
Okay.
I have no entry squares for my king. I think this was the last point. Now, of course, if I'd played bishop f1 right away, this wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't wasted the tempo. But I think, I think at this point it's already, lost, because now the problem is well, actually, no, here he could have tried c5 too, but c5 I think I would have just waited with bishop d2, and I'm just going to, again, bring the king all the way around. And I think this one is probably losing too. Because basically the only way black can hold is if he can stop my king from entering, reach a closed a position with a closed pawn structure where there are no entry squares for the king. But in this situation, I don't think it's possible.
But by the way, at this point, how much time did he have?
I mean, he had like 30 seconds. He was just playing on the increment.
Okay, well then,
so
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, from here, I think it's just a straightforward win, because I'm just bringing the king around, or not the bishop, the king, obviously, but because like here c5 I just take, and now even in this one I can just take and go king d3, king c4, king c5, and just wins, and h5, king d3, a5, and he just resigned because, I mean, same problem, takes c4, king c4, the king's just going straight all the way up the board, and it's just lost. So
okay,
it was pretty smooth overall.
Yeah. Of course, with this time control, there are always going to be moments when you think, oh, but but basically a very smooth game.
Yeah, it was quite nice. Good start.
I mean, you're good at rapids. We know this, but I mean, what do you think of this time control? 45 minutes. Does it suit you?
It's hard to tell. I think probably it suits me more than rapid, strangely enough.
Really?
Yeah, I think with rapid, for some reason, I don't seem to. I'm not saying that I'm not good at rapid, but I seem to not play that well at it, because somehow I think the 25 minutes it screws around with me a little bit. Like in the World Blitz and Rapid, I mean, I think I've played the last 2 years, and in the Rapid at least, I haven't come even remotely close to finishing at the top. And I think it's just because I want to use some time at the start, but if you use time at the start, then you're way behind if you move too fast, and somehow the flow and the rhythm doesn't seem to work for me, at least not that well. So yeah, I mean, standard Rapid is okay for me, but actually I like this a little bit more. You have some time to think at the start, get into it before you have to just blitz. I mean, the tempo is a little bit better, I find.
Well, great. Thanks for joining us. A good start, and hopefully we'll see you here again. Good luck. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay, see you. Now, do we have our next guest? Because I think we have all our games are over, unless we have another game, another guest. Then I don't know if we're going to take a short break or whether we're going to close things. I'm going to be getting... Okay, I think we're going to wrap things up there. So let me just give a quick recap for those watching. You can see, well, we've just seen the game that Hikaru Nakamura won against Yannick Pelletier. Boris Gelfand drew against Grigori Aparin. Yannipo Nishi drew against Peter Svidler incredibly, where he looked as though he had a completely winning position, but somehow Peter managed to scrape out with a draw. And big game of the day, Vladimir Kramnik with white defeated Vishwanathan Anand playing black. So we have two players sharing the lead after one round, Vladimir Kramnik and Hikaru Nakamura. Do join us for round 2 tomorrow, which starts at 12:30 Central European time. And, well, it's a fantastic event. So please do join us then. Thanks a lot. Bye now.